We're so thrilled that you're here right now, but come on back on Tuesday. That is December 19th at noon Pacific time, because we are doing our annual Christmas movie live stream with the Christmas movie expert himself. You're looking at him, or Alonso Duralde. I'm calling it annual. This is our second one. It's our second annual. So I feel like this is the thing we should do. It's the thing we should do annually starting now. So come on and join us. There's a link below, and it's pinned to the top of our page, and so you can find it in all kinds of places. But it's so much fun to have folks come and ask you questions, Alonso, and share their own holiday movie memories and all that good stuff.
Looking forward to it.
So do that. Yeah, me too. And then if you've not subscribed to my newsletter yet, I would love to have you. There is a link to that below. It's just ChristyLemire.com. And when you go there, you'll see a subscribe here button. And if you subscribe there, you can subscribe there. And we have weekly goodies for you. It's called Saturday Matinee, a roundup of all the things that I do, things that we do, and then just interesting articles and stuff that's going on in the world. A newsletter, perhaps you've heard of it. They're a brand spanking new thing for you to enjoy. And among the items you'll see there is a link to I appeared on Alonso's other podcast, one of Alonso's many other podcasts. I know you think he exists purely in this box next to me all the time, and would that it were the case. He has many other irons in the fire. So I got to hang out with him and Drea on the Maximum Film podcast. That was really fun. It is structured totally differently from our podcast.
Yes, it was great to have you on. I don't know what it took us so long to get you on there, but yes, we had a lovely conversation about Poor Things and about all kinds of other fun stuff. So yeah, if you've never checked out Maximum Film, which is the podcast that I do every week at Maximum Fun, then, you know, maybe this Christy episode will be your gateway.
Yes, the crossover. You never knew you needed in your life. So I actually wasn't even thinking we were going to do news today because there's not that much news going on. But then Andre Braugher died, and we have to talk about him and his incredible career cut way too short at age 61. Way too young. After a brief illness. It's very, very sad. I think of him mainly from Homicide: Life on the Street.
Me too.
He was so great there. But whatever he was in, whether it was TV or film, he was recently in She Said as the editor of the New York Times. He had this just commanding, distinctive presence about him. Just the way he carried himself, and his voice was so rich and resonant. And it's just a huge loss. It's very sad.
Yeah, there's not a lot of TV actors who have like really been successful in the dramatic area and then gone and transitioned to comedy so seamlessly. But, you know, after doing Homicide, he plays a very different kind of cop on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and establishes this whole other character that people remember him for. So it was really amazing to see that pivot and how he could just so effortlessly exist in both of those spheres. He was a really great talent, and his film work, I remember early on seeing him in Glory, you know, as an angry young soldier, and that was a really great performance. But yeah, just one of those guys, like you see his name in the credits, you're like, oh, okay, well, there's at least something about this is going to be great.
Yeah, this is already better just based on his presence in it. So very sad, Andre Braugher at 61. And then also this week, the National Film Registry announced its annual slew of titles. This is part of the Library of Congress. They don't necessarily restore these films themselves, but they like sort of set them aside for posterity, right? Is how it works. These are important.
Yeah, it's kind of a way to sort of spotlight them as important, and that, you know, somebody should be restoring them. And so, yeah, so every year they put out a new list, and it's always a mix of, like, you know, somebody's home movies from the 19-teens and like really, really early, you know, experimental silent stuff up to like Love and Basketball and 12 Years a Slave. And speaking of Christmas movies, both Home Alone and The Nightmare Before Christmas made it to the list this year.
Both Fame and Desperately Seeking Susan. If you want your early New York ladies stories, and then Terminator 2 and Lady and the Tramp. It's a really random cross section, but a pretty great list there. So that happened this week.
Spike Lee's Bamboozled.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's in there too. So a great cross-section of films there. And then there's a story that just came out in the last couple of days about the Oscar-winning Green Book writer-producer Nick Vallelonga. And he is now directing and writing a movie called That's Amore! And dozens of his crew members, IATSE union members, are suing him, saying that he did not pay them. When you
Somebody
look up
did
what
not
this
get the
movie is
hot
about,
labor summer memo.
it is hot labor summer. And so he is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's like cinematographers and costume designers and hair designers and production designers, all the folks behind the scenes that make a movie. Apparently they are accusing him of not paying them. And I had never heard of this film, but I went and looked it up to find out what this is about. And it's John Travolta and Katherine Heigl in this romantic comedy. He's a lifelong bachelor. She's an introvert, and they get together and their families get involved. And her name is, and I wish I were making this up, Patty Amore.
Oh, I missed that part. Oh, man. God, this just gets worse.
That's Amore.
Because you lost me at rom-com starring John Travolta and Katherine Heigl from the co-writer of Green Book. Like that's already a lot. But if her last name is Amore, whew, man. Okay, I'm predicting now that this is a movie that's going straight to streaming. Just a hunch. If this sees a theater, it's going to be like purely out of contractual obligation from one of those distributors that basically gets paid by people to put their movies into theaters. Just a hunch. If I'm wrong and it turns out to be, an unsung classic, I'll be the first to say so.
This reeks of February, does it not? Right? I mean, it's got Amore right there in the title. What better time than February?
Yes. Cherubs shooting arrows. And then, pay your crew, man. Pay your crew.
Yeah, for sure. And then there is going to be, in January of next year, a 4K restoration of Francis Ford Coppola's One from the Heart, which I have never seen, but I know it's sort of a much maligned film in his history.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. They actually premiered this restoration at Venice, and I couldn't work out a time to go see it when I was there. But I'm super pumped that it's getting some theatrical release, and then I'm sure they'll be putting out a 4K because it's a 4K restoration. But yeah, Coppola has been, he's one to kind of dig into the catalog, and we had that revamped version of Godfather 3 a couple of years ago. We had the Cotton Club, kind of the redone, various Apocalypse Now reduxes over the years. And so, now this is definitely one of the films in his library that, was like, a big box office disaster. He pretty much like blew his whole like American Zoetrope budget on it. But I think it is an object of fascination, coming from him. We just talked about Heaven's Gate for our Patreon subscribers. So I think when major filmmakers have these financial duds, it's always worth going back 10 years, 20 years later and being like, is there something here? Did audiences get swayed by something? And even Spielberg has put out like a director's cut of 1941. I think everybody has that movie that they really want to like, the baby that no one loved that they want to like take out into the world again. So yeah, I'm really pumped to see this because it's Gene Kelly did the choreography and it's Coppola really trying to do a big scale old school musical. So I'm very curious.
Well, we should review it when it comes out on January 19th.
Yes,
what do you think?
Let's. I would love to.